All right. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to our live school call this week. It's going to be awesome. We're going to talk about why most SMB, small and medium-sized businesses, are bleeding money. They don't know it, and how the smart sales professional is delivering value to the marketplace and being paid handsomely for it. So, what I want to do is start with just a couple of cool articles that I've come across recently, and I think they're very interesting. Now, the founder of Steam recently showed up on an interview and talked about some pretty profound things as it relates to AI. It's a really good article to take a look at. But OpenAI just launched a new ChatGPT agent that can control the entire computer and do tasks for you. Um, and It's pretty wild what is available. Up until now, this type of functionality was available through a platform like Manus. One of the other AI platforms just launched a browser, Comet, that has some of the same functionality. And when we kind of look at where the puck is going, we can see that this is the future where there will be all of these different, like currently, for example, in Google ecosystem, you have to log into documents, you have to log into sheets, you have to log into slides, you have to log into whatever the heck else they have. There's like a million of them, right? Phone. The future is going to be one kind of chat-based portal that's almost like an octopus or a hydra that will then just reach into all those platforms and pull them back out. And this is kind of the beginning of it. So one of the things that we always recommend is, if you're going to be serious about AI, and that includes to make money with it or to leverage it for what you're currently doing with your current job or business, then one of the best ways to kind of scale through your learning curve is to actually use it as much as you can personally and with whatever you're currently doing outside of offering this type of services to the SMBs. A great way to do that is just simply sign up for a $20 a month subscription to ChatGPT. A very simple way to use it is to create chats based on different people or teams or units that you communicate with, and run all of your communication through it. So you kind of come up with a draft, prompt it, give it context, and then run your draft through, and you'll always see a really nice and clean output. So I do that with uh, all of the different people and groups that I interface with, and I have a unique chat for each one, and it's really leveled up the communication. Another way you can use it is press into the platforms like Manus, where they are the agent-based platforms that you can basically prompt it with kind of a mini project, and it will go and it will do some really fascinating things behind the scenes. It'll build websites for you. It'll do all sort of things. So just kind of pressing into where it's going will help you level up and kind of see capacity, because there's really two ways you can serve the SMBs. A, you can install AI, which we'll talk about, but another way you can really help them is in how they directly utilize the tooling to make their human-based tasks more efficient. And I don't think we talk about that enough. And for you to be able to help them go through that, you need to be going through that. Just simple things. Another one is take a spreadsheet, load it into ChatGPT, and have it help you analyze the data. It has very robust capabilities. It's quite frankly, almost unbelievable what it can do just right out of the box. So just whatever you're doing, run it through GPT. And if you don't know how it might work, ask it. Say, hey, here's my job or here's my role. What are some use cases that ChatGPT could help me to be better at and more efficient at? And it'll spit them out. And then if you're ever wondering how to prompt it, this is what you do. You don't try to figure it out. You ask it. So whenever I'm doing something in ChatGPT, I'll give it the scope of the project in very simple terms. I'm trying to do X. What is a prompt you need from me to be able to do X well? And then it will tell you the prompt that it wants. And then I usually open up a new chat and I just drop that clean prompt into that. The other thing you can do is, whenever you're having it prompt you, you say, hey, I'm looking to do X, Y, and Z. tell me the prompt that you would like me to use and use cookbook best practices. Cookbook is kind of uh, the terminology that it recognizes for because OpenAI put out what they call a cookbook as far as how to prompt things properly. So if you just tell it what you're looking for, tell it to use cookbook best practices, it'll give you a prompt, you can drop it in, and then you can rock and roll. And it's just that simple, y'all. So I think where people are running into trouble is kind of like when people shifted to, email use, or, from slide rules to calculators, or pagers to cell phones, or yellow pages to Google, right? Oh, I'm going to use Google and it's going to steal my information. Well, you're already behind the curve. You have to embrace it. And one of the quickest ways to not be afraid of it is just to use it. It's just a fast computers, right? It's not a being. It's efficiency. It's like, use a backhoe instead of a shovel. Another thing here is this article I thought was quite interesting. You can make really good stuff fast. New AI tools are a game changer for filmmakers. Google released their newest application. They upgraded their previous application, and now people are doing just incredible films. This is totally AI based. So there's people that were having to spend. One guy generated a pharmaceutical ad for uh, a new medicine, and he said he was in that space, and previously it would have taken, I don't know, like $500,000 to produce that commercial, and he produced it in 2 days with like $3,000. So here's another one. I guess these are probably pretty politically charged ones. I didn't really
Hundreds of people
recognize
with my
that.
phone, and like one on the front lines in Ukraine.
All totally AI generated. So press into it and use it. Here's one that's quite interesting as well. AI isn't coming for your job; it's coming from your whole org chart. I think this is one we need to really be paying attention to, because what's happening is um, AI is eliminating jobs, and the career ladder is breaking, and nobody's really talking about it. The CEOs in the boardrooms, they are trying to mitigate and reduce fear in the marketplace. But the reality is if you look at what is actually happening in the marketplace, you'll recognize that there are jobs, there are departments that are being entirely eliminated. They say that the hardest person to get a job right now is the white collar college grads. It's almost next to impossible for them to get jobs because they've been replaced, right, with technology, with AI. Another trend we're seeing is that older people, so like people in their 40s and 50s who are trying to pivot, are having one heck of a time finding new jobs because the companies hiring want younger folks. They don't want to have to pay as much. We're seeing people getting laid off. They're hopefully the companies are giving them advance notice. In some cases, they're not. And it's very, very disruptive out there. So how do we solve this? Well, we want to offer AI services to SMBs, right? SMBs right now are they're just absolutely bleeding money. So this is a little factory, right? This is a little SMB. And because of inefficiencies, because of outdated models, because they're still quote unquote using the yellow pages to look up phone numbers instead of using Google, or they're still opening up Blockbusters instead of streaming Netflix, there's a tremendous amount of leverage that's available for the SMBs to help them make more money. In the SMB, small, medium sized business owner and leadership teams, that's what they care about, profit. Because if you think you're being squeezed right now, they're also being squeezed right now, right? Big time, because the economy is tighter than ever. There's pressures, there's influences, there's factors that is just putting these folks into a vice. And so what you can do is ride in on your white horse, flick a few switches in essence, and their business can literally almost double overnight. The new constraint will be their just capacity to deliver. And you can also help them with that by coaching them to raise their prices, right? So it's a supply and demand issue. If the systems are driving so much demand and they're running out of capacity, then a very simple fix to generate more profit and make things cleaner is they just bump their prices a little bit, right? So you can do all sort of things to help the SMBs that don't require them to learn new technology. And that's the key is they don't want to learn. That's where you come in. You are the bridge between the money and the learning, right? They got enough on their minds. They're thinking about a million different things. Okay? They're not going to putz around trying to watch YouTube videos and learn how to do tech. And nor should you. Nor should you. What's happening right now is the cost to deploy AI is dropping very, very, very quickly. And the people who focus on the technology are going to lose. Bottom line, because the money is never in the tech, the money is always in being the rainmaker. This is where the money is at. Okay? It's not on the, the pluses and minuses of the computer programming and all that other stuff, because all that technology changes, right? AI capacity tomorrow is going to be greater than it is today. And so you don't want to be in a situation where you're learning stuff and relearning stuff and it's going and it's coming and going and it's changing all the time. That's not smart, right? You are a sales professional or a business owner. And so what you want to do is you want to leverage what you're already good at, what you already know, what you're already spent time and investment in learning. And instead of selling whatever legacy product and service you're selling now, you just want to replace that with one of the most potent, most beneficial, most value-driven solutions the marketplace has ever seen. And so you just keep doing what you've been doing, but you do it with a superior mechanism. And now you're in the middle of what I believe is one of the greatest transformations of wealth that we've ever seen. And here's why I say that. The businesses that adopt are going to win. They are going to literally take off like a rocket ship. Okay? The businesses that don't, they're already dead, right? Boom, they're already gone. They just don't know it yet because there's going to start to be a very divergent path in the marketplace. And you're going to have the companies that adopt the AI, and you're going to have the companies that ignore the AI or are slow to adopt the AI. And those are really the only two paths, right? They can go and say yes, or they can say, I don't know, and I don't know is stupid. So my pencil here has stopped functioning, which is awesome. I love it when it does that in the middle of a live call. But you get the idea, right? So what we want to do is we want to bridge that gap between the market, the capacity, and the need. And that's where you come in, because what are you? You are a bridge person. That's what you do. You bridge between product and company, or service and company. And you communicate the value. You communicate the potential. You communicate the benefits. You communicate the features, right? So just do that with a superior product. And so what the smart sales pros are doing is, instead of taking another job, they're using their sales skills to partner with SMBs, and they're plugging leaks in these AI-driven automations. Things like missed calls, slow follow-ups, no-shows, all those are revenue leaks, okay? 40% of small businesses, their leads go unanswered when you combine, hours, business hours, and non-business hours. That's a pretty high percentage, right? That's just money. They're just burning. Might as well pick up a Benjamin and light it on fire, right? So you can solve that. And what's cool is you can solve it very quickly and very efficiently. Now, the way we do it is we have an entire fulfillment team on the back end that does all of the work. And for the folks that we work with, it's very simple for them. They literally punch a button, new build, they fill out a form, and then our team takes over and does all the technical stuff, all the building, all the configurations, all the connections with the APIs to make sure it's functioning. They monitor it for the first 30 days, and then they maintain it. And then you just stay on the front end and have the relationship and own the relationship with the SMB. And what's cool is when we install, we don't install everything all at once. That's just foolishness, right? It's too much. So you install the basic core engine that delivers 80% of the value. And then over time, there's opportunities to upgrade them. The other reason you don't install everything all at once is because the business owners can be a little overwhelmed by the idea of AI, by the impact of AI. Their employees are like, it's going to cost our job, perhaps. So you don't want to go all in and do everything day one. You want to get them like down the field, get them making money, get the thing producing profit for them. Now you've created a relationship that's bulletproof because you're the one that brought them this new capacity. You're the one that brought them this new revenue. You're the one that brought them this new piece, right? One of the greatest things you'll hear is when you install these things is the business owners, they're like, man, this is fantastic. I can relax. I know that my leads are handled. I know that my calls are handled. I know that my speed to lead is handled. I know that we're reducing no-shows. And they go, and you're the reason for that, which is awesome. They certainly don't go, if you're selling them a copier or some kind of complicated software thing that they got to manage, right? So that's where you want to be. And, in some cases, these are already businesses you're selling to. It's just a better way to monetize. So the biggest opportunity right now isn't necessarily selling something new. It's fixing what's broken in these businesses. And that's how you want to approach it. You don't want to approach it as an external, oh, let's look at this shiny new thing over here, right? Does not compute. It's overwhelming. It triggers fear, uncertainty. What does the uncertain mind do? Nothing. So instead, all you do is shine light on the gaps in their business and how you can fix them and what the fixing them means to their bottom line. That's why we're profit consultants. We're not automation consultants. What business wants automation? What business doesn't want profit? Yeah. So that's kind of the bridge there. So you want to use your skills. You want to partner with SMBs. You want to plug these leaks. And the old playbook, another job, y'all, seriously, I don't care. This is not a pitch. We obviously offer a service. We help people. If you're just, by the way, we disclose this up front. If you're looking for our help, it's about you need some investment in tech support. You need some investment in AI. You need some investment in software. You're looking about $450 a month. That's leveraging financing. And I don't care if you're working with us or you're working with somebody else. A job is the worst decision you could make right now with where the culture is heading, period. And setting up an agency, that's a horrible decision too. Think about that. So now you're going to take on not only the conversion of, the sales part, but now you got to take on the generation of leads, the conversion, and now all of the back end fulfillment. And remember, all of the back end fulfillment changes continuously. APIs that are working today, one of them updates the code, right? They push in a version 2.0, breaks. You're going to be running around like a chicken with your head cut off, drooling, and it's not pretty. So another job, I wouldn't suggest it. An agency, I wouldn't suggest it. All these other gigs that are short term, that are subject to being massively disrupted by AI. For example, e-commerce, right? I built a 7-figure e-commerce business. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy today. What else? Affiliates. Have fun with that. You get your ad account shut down, and really you own nothing more than a promotion, competing with a million other people doing that same stuff. No, what you want to do is you don't want to take advice from someone who's young and new and wet behind the ears. You want somebody who's got a little gray in their beard, who's built some things, and you want to use your own brain and think, and you want to look at the market and you want to say, what is something that I can sink my teeth into that doesn't change? Something that's evergreen, because when you can put your focus on something that doesn't change, now you and your learning become an asset that kicks off returns over time, because you're not on the roller coaster of learn thing today, everything changes, learn thing, change. No, you're like, I can run this and ride this for years. And small businesses wanting more profit is that thing. Now, the tooling, it depends on what's available. What is the most efficient way to help the small business make more profit? And that's what's exciting. Because let's say you're working with a client today and some new capacity comes online, well, that's now an opportunity for you to upgrade them, right? So you can run this thing forever. And we think of it as like the third path. It's not another job. It's not an agency. It's right in the middle where you're doing what you've done, but you're not handling any of the fulfillment. And oh, by the way, we install an AI powered appointment setting system. We just had a guy who went live a couple days ago, and he's generated 10 leads, like just like that. So when you have that in place, now you build that, install it, tune it, and then once it's up and running, it puts appointments on your schedule. You show up, you have a call, you enroll them, you fill out a quick form, they're fulfilled and handled. And that's a beautiful, and you own it. It's yours, right? And the way we handle the fulfillment, it's an 80-20 split. You keep 80%, we take 20. But you own the relationship. You're processing the payment. They're your clients. So it's the best of all worlds. I mean, I guess I wouldn't include a job as the best of anything, but it's the best of business ownership. It's the best of time and money control. It's the best of quote unquote agency. And now you have a diversified portfolio of businesses paying you on a monthly basis. So if one of them gets hit by an asteroid, your income is load balanced. And I'm just telling you, done right, you don't have any churn. We have very, very low churn because it's done right. You're not selling a commodity. You're creating a partnership that produces profit and peace for a human being. It's incredible. And oh, by the way, we just offered to our people the ability now to offer financing on the setup fees. So that's not even an issue anymore. So you can get $5, $10, $20,000 financing fees, and you don't even have to talk about it in terms of it's going to be 10K. You're like, hey, yeah, to get all this set up, you're looking about $400 a month. So you want to be you want to measure, cut. Okay. I've built multiple 7-figure businesses from scratch. I've analyzed hundreds of business models at this point in my career. This by far is, in my opinion, based on my experience and my read of where the puck's heading, the best to put your hands to on planet Earth. In fact, my daughter is now participating with us in this business, and her fiance. That's how much I believe in it. So we want to not look at a job. We don't want to look at a side hustle, an agency grind. And the way we acquire clients is we do a very simple 10, 15-minute audit. Okay? It's simple, no tech experience. You don't use a form, you don't use a web, you do actually talk to a human on the phone. And what it does is it identifies missed revenue, missed profit fast, right? And how does that lead to a $5,000 or $10,000 deal? Very simply, you take a look at the recovery in some of these key areas of the business operations. For example, missed calls. Let's say there's a company, I don't know, let's say that I always use HVAC, so let's just keep with that. Let's say they're doing HVAC. Let's say their average deal is 3K. And let's say that of people who call them that they talk to, right? This pretty high intent lead. They're reaching out to that business. They're not calling the business to order a pizza. There's no real filtering. It's, I need help with my air conditioner. So let's say they convert 20% of inbound calls to $3,000 deals. So real quick, if they're missing 10 calls, how much is that costing them? Paul, I didn't want to have to do math today. Sorry. 10 calls, 20% conversion, 2 deals times 3, 6K a week. Just like that. 6 times 4, 24 grand a month. 250, north of 250 a year of pure profit. Pure profit. They're not changing anything. They're just answering the damn phone, right? That's one thing. So you just talk and you stack up the benefits. And we even have an AI assistant that'll listen in on the calls and help coordinate all this. So like almost right out of the gate, you're up to speed with being effective and productive on these calls. So Missed call recovery, speed to lead automation. You just have a quick visit with them. Like, hey, so what happens when somebody reaches out to you for more information, right? Like fills out a form, sends in an email. Cool. So you're just betting that they don't call the next person in the Google list? Like, how's that all working? Right? Harvard released a study that if a lead is followed up with in 1 minute, it increases the conversion rate by 357%, if memory serves. Massive. If they wait an extra minute, it drops by 150%. Speed to lead, a massive lever that even the most optimized businesses through business hours totally falls off a cliff when their office is closed. It is impossible. It is impossible for a business to uh, build, manage, and maintain the same speed to lead with humans that can easily be installed with AI. It's impossible. There is no comparison. They need 24/7, 365 coverage. They need everybody to be Johnny on the spot with bam, they call. They need everybody to follow the exact script and follow the exact protocol. It's impossible. So the businesses not using that are already losing. They're losing money, right? Because when a prospect does a Google search, one way they find the business of many, they call the first one. If the first one doesn't answer, do you just sit there and wait? Oh, they said they'd call me back. I'm going to hang. No, you call the next one. You call the next one until you talk to somebody. And oftentimes it's the first person you talk to that you move forward with, right? So missed call recovery, speed to leave, no-show recovery. There's a chiropractor we're working with, 20% no-shows, 20% no-shows, right? So when you make it easy for people to reschedule, you don't force them to talk to humans and push, wait on hold, press one to talk to somebody on our team about rescheduling. Okay, thank you for the rescheduling menu. Now press one if you want to reschedule appointment for A. Press two if you want to reschedule appointment for B. If you're have an appointment set for three, press three. Okay, press three. Thank you for pressing three for the the neck cracking appointment. Did you need to reschedule for tomorrow, or did you need to press two to reschedule for the day after? You know what I'm saying? Like it's so inefficient. So when you make it easy, where there's proactive reminders, but not just a text-based, which is what all these medical practices operate on. It's a, hey, just wanted to, or even a call, like, hey, this is with such and such. Just wanted to make sure we're all set for tomorrow. And see the business. See, here's a pivot most people don't think about. Many businesses optimize to prevent rescheduling. So what happens when you do that? You have no shows. What if you made it easy for people to reschedule? Well, now you take a blocked appointment and you open it up, right? Make it hard to reschedule. So now this person's just going to no shows because it was blocked with an appointment. They no show. We lost opportunity to generate revenue. Make it easy to reschedule. This person drops out and then another one comes in with more higher intent to show. So by doing simple things, if you do the calculation of what no shows cost a business, it's astronomical. If you've ever been in a sales position where they didn't show up, right? You're going to an appointment, they're not there. It's not only cost of time, but it's also demoralizing. So you reduce that, you remove that. There's other things like financial qualifications. We are actually able to just install an updated system. We have this process called Clearview that once somebody opts in for information, it pulls their credit score, their income, their age, it pulls their debt to income, and it pulls available credit across all of their cards. And so now you install something like that. It used to cost $3,000 wholesale to get that installed. Now it's literally $50 a month. It's so exciting. So now that can be plugged into a business, and now every single lead that comes through, they can route it. They can smart route the thing. If it's underqualified or unqualified, they can put it over here where it's not consuming any resource. And if it's qualified, they can run it down this path where they can treat it different. They can, know that those folks have the financial capacity. Once you're able to pull that data, a business can now offer payments over time. Like Apple sold the Vision Pro, right? They didn't say, oh, this thing's $8,000. It's like, hey, if you want, it's payments of $249 a month, or you can pay it in full. They sold millions of dollars. That how are cars sold, right? Payments over time. So now you can help a business upgrade how they're communicating with the marketplace and equip them to do it, and actually install the financing stuff. So now you've just, boom, you've lifted the profit as well. And when they're using financing, if they're not fighting the sticker shock, they can actually charge more, right? Because so what used to be 10, let's say they're doing, I don't know, a $5,000 job, $5,000 up front versus $400 a month for a $10,000 program or offer or package or service or piece of equipment. So now you're able to ramp up their cash collection by just being smart and leveraging AI. Super simple. So you do an audit, you do a series of simple checks or questions, and then it leads naturally into the done for them fulfillment on how to plug all these gaps and all these leaks. And you've done back of the napkin math where missed calls, speed to lead, offering financing or qualifying or reducing no-shows, it's about X a month. And that's it. It sells itself. You're not really selling anything. We call it rolling the ball down the hill. You're coming alongside the business owner, you're doing an MRI on their business, you're pointing out the gaps together, and you're saying, yeah, we can solve this, we can solve that, we can solve this. Well, how do you solve it? AI. And we handle it all, you don't have to worry about it. Okay. That's music to their ears. They don't want to get technical, they don't want to know the details, they couldn't care less. They want to run the business and they want the P&L to lift. Yeah? So again, you're not selling software, you're solving problems, costly problems. So identity is typically, we have the identity of a sales professional or a closer. You want to shift that identity to that of a consultant. And that's the next move, right? The third path. And that's what smart sales professionals and smart professionals in general are doing. That's the pivot and shift they're making because they recognize if I continue to do the same thing that doesn't work, that's the definition of insanity. I'm just whacking my head against the wall, right? New tools, new process, right? If somebody introduced a backhoe, I'd be a moron to insist on using a shovel. Oh, I've always used a shovel. I'm going to use a shovel, right? Like, Paul, you're a moron. So we don't want to be morons. So you're not just a closer now, you're a problem solver with massive leverage. You are carrying bags of money into the business owner. You don't have any of that leverage if you're selling, I don't know, software, copiers, insurance. Oh my God, you're one of a billion. Like any of the other legacy products and services, you don't have any leverage, right? With this, you do. So the key question then is, what if your next $10,000 didn't require you to get another sales job, right? And so it's and what's cool is it's not one-off comp. It's recurring. It's residual. It's work once, get paid again and again. It's the same thing as having a real estate portfolio, except you can make more money with this than with that, and you need less capital to get started. Even if you sold a simple service for $500 a month, $10,000 setup, and you took the 10K, that's about $1,000 a month, right? Over the course of the year, $800 plus the 5. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you have an annualized monthly recurring of 13, but you got front loaded the 10K. Do you know what kind of a real estate portfolio in single family homes you would need? Do you know how much capital you would need? Do you know how much time it would take you? Do you know how many papers you'd have to sign? Do you know how far up your fanny they'd go with the qualification? God forbid you pay cash. You can't even find deals that cash flow right now with single family properties. Right now, that whole market's been disrupted with the Compass lawsuit and NRA or NAR. I guess NAR, not NRA. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go do some research. The whole housing market has been massively disrupted. All the people involved with that, massively disrupted. So what you want to do is you want to focus on owning a recurring income stream, right? Can we all agree that that's better than working and resetting every month and working and resetting? Can we all agree that a recurring income stream is good? Yes. Okay, if yes, then the next question is, well, how do we do it? What's the best vehicle? What's the best mechanism, right? How else can you do it? Go sell 1,000 insurance contracts and make 13 cents per, right? Or work with an SMB who is bleeding money, who is confused and begging for peace of mind, and help them and solve it. and not get all mired and bogged down in RAG and all this other agentic and N8N and all this complicated crap that people are making YouTube videos on that changes every day, or just have a conversation, person to person, where you hold all the cards and they're eating out of your hand in a good way, in a beneficial way, in a way that answers their prayers, in a way that reduces stress from their life. Maybe they're showing up better for their spouse. Maybe they're showing up better for their kids. Maybe they're not as mad. Maybe they're not, drinking and using because they're so stressed out, right? So that's the third path. That's what we want to do. And it's pretty simple. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to open it up if y'all have any questions. And I think the way you do a question is just type it in the Q&A something, Q&A box or something like that. And then I can see it and then I'll answer it. And if you don't have any questions, we're going to wrap up here. So if you have a question, do me a favor and just type in like a K as a placeholder while you articulate your actual question. But there's no better time than now to be doing this. And that's not going to change. Right now, it's wide open. But even in a competitive environment, there's always advantage, right? You put me in a room with other people doing the same thing and I'll win every single time, period, because it's Think and Grow Rich. So don't ever worry about competition. It's a non-event. It's a moot point. It's irrelevant. And there is none right now because everybody's out there selling a commoditized chatbot, chat widget this, chat widget that, and you're competing with offshore providers that are cheap as dirt. So that's not what you want anyway. You want to build a partnership. You want to build a relationship. You want to see that relationship with the SMB based on bottom line profit value is equity. It's relational equity. It's the same equity that lifts a home, right? It's the same. It's a monetized asset in the same way that when you pay down your mortgage and the property values lift, there's capturable equity. Well, when you bring this level of value and peace and results to a business owner, that is relational equity. You can offer greater things down the road. You can get referrals. You can also sell them other things. You can sell them consulting. You can sell them more AI. The sky's the limit when done right. The key is you got to do it right. So Greg, what's the best way to generate the high intent leads, best verticals? A great question. So if you go in the school group, we map out exactly how we build ads. Facebook ads, best way to do it. But what? LinkedIn? No, because the demographic you want is still on Facebook after work. So you can get very inexpensive and quality leads and calls through Facebook. And it's very simple to set up. You do want to have an AI powered infrastructure. Again, we can help you with that. There's other sources to help you with that, but that's how we do it. And that's what we recommend. In addition to that, there's also organic frameworks that you can do. You can leverage your network. You can offer your network a free AI readiness assessment. You can also go into local networking groups. We had one guy who had to shut off his ads because it went like wildfire through his network. He was sitting at a table and there was one guy who's kind of talking a little bit about what he was doing, and a couple other people leaned in and were like, I want that. And next thing he knew, people were referring him to people who were referring him to people. Another thing you can do is digital groups. So find groups on Facebook or groups on LinkedIn that are aggregated around SMBs or specific verticals, like, I don't know, HVAC groups. And then you can just drop in compelling things. They're called hand raisers that get them to raise their hand and engage. One guy picked up a $60,000 contract by going into an HVAC group and saying something along the lines of, hand on heart, who do you know who runs the best operation with more than 5 trucks? He got a list of like 16 people, said, hey, that crew does a really good operation. And he closed the deal. 80, I think it was 80K recurring annual income. So there's a number of ways to do it. I am a big believer in the power of a machine powered by ads, because doing anything organically is a roller coaster. Now, at the beginning, if you have time, if your ad and lead machine and appointment machine are up and running and you know what you're doing, then take that extra time and convert that into revenue producing activities, not YouTube watching activities. And so you just have to you can't really make the ad machine go faster unless you put more money into it. So one of two options, and I've done both. A, I just go get another job, right? Back when I was broke and I needed to, and I just dump it all into ads. Or B, you can find some organic systems that you work, but you work them. You don't learn about them. You learn enough to work them, and then you just work them and work them and work them. Less learning, more working. Hormozi has a great framework on working network in his book, $100 million Offers. I believe it's chapter 4. Uh, and we've actually just put that in our system as like the best framework to do it. And he maps all that out. So that's what we recommend. Just getting in gear and getting something up that is predictable, that is consistent, that aligns with your preferences and strengths and weaknesses, right? If you hate going to in-person meetings, then don't go to friggin' in-person meetings. You'll not be very good at it and it'll drain you. So you want to orient towards what you're good at and what you enjoy. Tim, is it possible to get into this maybe 300-500 a month, ramp up income until we can afford paying the big bucks? Well, again, we don't charge big bucks to do it, but we have a program and it works, and we kind of just do it that one way. There's really no way to kind of cheapen it, but we do offer financing, and for access to that, you're looking at about $435 a month or something like that, which is in that $300 to $500 bandwidth. Of course, that does require credit, typically north of 650. We've partnered with Klarna on that. That's just their requirement, but that's enough to get you rocking and rolling. So, Greg, I still need to get all the details of what this can do. Can you give a 60-second elevator pitch? Yeah. So for the SMB, it will increase their speed to lead. It will eliminate their missed calls. It will reduce their no-shows and increase their shows. It will also, every lead that comes into the system will have a forever follow-up framework. It will pre-qualify and screen out under financially qualified people at top of funnel so that everything that comes into the funnel is a viable prospect, as well as it'll pipe that data back into the pixels. So instead of them optimizing their ads performance for we want leads, it will be we want qualified leads, which is an entirely new order of magnitude of game changer. It can also do referrals. It can also, more sophisticated use cases are for like companies that have technicians. It can route the technicians to the most efficient geography. It can check in with the technicians. It can notify the homeowners. It can do all this stuff powered by AI. It can also do post-sale upsells. It can do recurring payments. It can do, if somebody re-engagement campaigns, it can do all that stuff. What if their clients do not need credit, i.e. dental office or chiropractor? Well, then they just don't use it, right? It's again, this stuff is dependent on the business and their needs. It's a Swiss Army knife. So there's all of these capabilities, and we have kind of a core install. But if the business doesn't need something, we certainly don't force it on them. However, many dental practices who sell higher ticket items do rely on financing to be able to afford, I don't even know what they are, veneers and tooth replacements or jaw replacements or whatever they do that costs the big bucks. Cosmetic dentists, sedation dentists. So there might not be, the company might have a partial use case, right? So in which case that would still be valuable because the tech can just apply to that partial use case. So for example, the dentist, for the cleaning, there wouldn't be any financial qualification present. For the cosmetic stuff that's 3K, 5K or north, there would be. You follow what I'm saying? So it's kind of like a slice or dice in optimization. And it's all done behind the scenes. That's what's so beautiful about this. AI is, compared to like static automations or even dynamic automations, AI gets better the more it's used. So you put these dynamic automations and you wrap them in AI, and now you have something that is doing the things at the right cadence, but is getting better at doing those things over time. So it's pretty awesome. All right, so Greg, we answered. Tim, we answered. Thank you, Greg. We answered. Anonymous attendee, we answered. Any other questions, y'all? And then we'll wrap it. Oh, one more came in. How picky do you need to be in your niche? Great question. Not at all. So up till recently, we did believe in picking a vertical. However, we've recently found through testing that it's no longer necessary. If you lead into the market with a specific profitable use case, that's what they'll raise their hand to. So, which makes which makes your entire system easier and cleaner because now your targeting is the same, your creatives are the same, and now you can just scale up something that's winning. Now, that's for ads. If you go into a group, you do need to be aware and make sure that. So I'll give you a simple example. At one point, I ran and founded a dental marketing agency where we generated patient leads for dentists. And when we first launched our ads, we weren't getting any traction. And it was frustrating because I know how to do ads okay. I'm not an expert, but I'm not a moron. And I had a coach at the time, and I was kind of ticked off. So I was kind of like bumping my head against the wall, trying to brute force it. And I came on and talked to him about it. And it was how dentists are acquiring more customers. My coach looked at that. He looked at me and he goes, "All right, Einstein, how dentists are acquiring more customers. That's what you think should be here." I'm like, "Yeah, that's what we're offering." He goes, "How dentists acquire more customers." I'm like, "Did I stutter?" "Yes." He goes, "Okay, so you think dentists acquire patients or customers?" And I'm like, "Got it." So I changed customer to patients, rocket ship. So while you don't have to pick a niche and be like, "I'm going after solar, I'm going after roof, I'm going after dentist, I'm going after med spas." You could if you wanted to, but it's not necessary. However, if you're in a Facebook group for dentists, make sure you're talking about patients and not clients, right? Does that make sense? Anonymous attendee. Wow, wished I recorded that. I could try rye that fast. I couldn't rye that fast, write that fast. There'll be a replay. There'll be a replay in the school group. Great questions, y'all. Thank you. This is awesome. I love these calls. They're very stimulating for me. So, any other questions? We got a couple more minutes earmarked for this. Let me know if you do. But hopefully this has been beneficial. When I talk about the future, I never mean for that to come across as fear-mongering. Fear-mongering. It's not. Understand my intent. It's Napoleon Hill said in his book, it was Think and Grow Rich, and then there was another one like 732 Secrets to Success or something. And he said his most underrated success principle was clean or clear thinking. Clear thinking. So when I share with you what I'm seeing and what I'm picking up in the media and what I'm picking up from people who I think are smart, it's never to institute fear. And you should never leave these things with fear. We're not given a spirit of fear, but of power, of sound mind, of discipline. And so what you want to do is you want to take this and then you want to take appropriate and correct action based on it. So you can reorient your direction, right? Just like adjusting, your direction if you're flying a plane or a rocket ship or a skateboard. So you're in motion, we're going somewhere, and if you don't like where you're going, that's cool. You don't need to be, "Oh man, I'm driving from Florida to New York and I find myself heading west. Damn it, you're a loser. You suck." No, you just reorient, right? So no condemnation. Never. You got to be your number one, your own number one cheerleader. One of the greatest indicators and impact in ingredients of human performance is confidence. But one of the things that we're best at doing is shooting ourselves in the foot, right? You do 99 things right in a day. You do one thing wrong. What do you fixate on? Yeah, we all do. So when you do that, you're anchoring down your confidence. So instead, you have to control your thinking. There's a great book on it by Dr. Jason Selk called The Relentless Solution Focus. We actually use his app. Yeah, we just recently unlocked in the classroom at the bottom, there's a module or a lesson, whatever the heck they're called. I think it's called the app that unlocks it all. Used to be blocked. We've opened that up. And in there is a link to get a discount on his app called Level Up. I use it every day. We have all of our people use it. It's mandatory. And it is the most profound app as far as human performance known to man. So when you hear these things, and woman, when you hear these things about where we're going, don't ever like fixate on the negative part of it. Be like, hell yeah, I can reorient. Like you're flying towards the mountain, you got enough time to shift gears, right? That's something to celebrate. Just as a total side note, the best thing you can do for your internal confidence and self-image is keep a success log throughout the day. And then as you go throughout the day, just take periodic breaks and write down things you've done well. Done well. And you'll start to program your brain to look at that. Because when we think about problem, right, he calls it the problem centric thinking, PCT. What happens is we're now releasing cortisol into our system. We're triggering fight or flight, which makes us stupid. So when we're allowing our brain to think about the things that we don't want, the problems, we're literally contaminating our body and dumbing down our thinking and capacity. On the other hand, when we're on the solution side of the equation, we're now generating positive neurotransmitters, which make us feel all of the positive emotions, which make us think cleaner, right? That's how God wired us. It's just we don't even pay attention to that, right? That's why it's Think and Grow Rich. You got to know these things. And his question in this book, the whole book's about this question is, how do we go from the right side of that chalkboard to the left side to the right, the problem-centric thinking to solution-focused? And it's what's one thing I can do now differently that could make this better. One thing now could. So whenever you have a problem, in either you can detect your thinking or you start to feel it, stop and ask yourself that question and force yourself to answer it. That's how you move and stay on the right side. Can you post the school link just to make sure that I have it? Yes. Coming through the chat. Boom, there you all go. Or actually, I don't even know where I sent it. I sent it in a QA, it just vanished. Is there a way that I guess I can't even do a chat here. Interesting. Well, anyway, here's where you go to get it. So if you just come here to AI-Profit Consultant, you just click join free group, you get in there. Here's the classroom. Here's that app I was telling you about. Fantastic. Here's where we walk you through the ads in the scripts. I think my team's going to get mad at me if I don't say this. If you want to talk to us about it, we offer a free 15-minute call. You can't even enroll if you wanted to. So you can, I think it's just about everywhere. You can click on that and we'll talk. So this is interesting. This is me troubleshooting now because the calendar's not loading. So I got to make a note to look at that. But in any event, it's been a treat to visit with y'all. Hope you're doing well, and we'll see you next Tuesday. All right. God bless.